Yo, man. You ready, man?
Yeah.
Let's do this. A little interview.
Okay. That's nice.
I'll put you nice. You can come a little bit closer. Put that mic really nice, like this. Yeah, there you go. Man, you look like a mini Athene too. You're the second mini Athene. But that's because he's further away, you know. Okay, let me
Okay.
hide the screen.
Man, I'm quite excited.
Yeah, you're excited?
Yeah. It's also there's so many things that I want to talk about just
Yeah.
because, I've come to understand.
That's really nice. We can do that now. Are you nervous?
Well, a little bit, yeah.
A little bit? That's fine. There's only 250 people viewing, so it's not like that many people
Yeah.
watching. I will just first ask a few questions, and when things you want to add later on, you can do so. I'll be, always skeptical because else they just assume I'm putting words into your mouth. They love to think like that. So
Mhm.
when I'm more skeptical and more like, bad cop, they don't get that rationalization.
I see.
So when did you come over?
It was like 1.5 years ago, I think.
1 year and a half ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's maybe a little bit more than that.
So
So yeah.
in that time, do you think you have grown a lot?
So I would say for 1 year, like roughly 1 year, I would say that my growth was not so much. It was there, but it was not so much. And then the last 6 months was when I experienced the most growth, I would say.
Yeah. So why did you come over?
So you want the reason?
Why you came over initially? Yes.
Yeah, but that I know now, or that I thought back then.
You can say both.
Well, back then I thought it was, to do good, of course. Just to have an impact, because I was trying to have it in back where, just my hometown. The real reason was because I tried a lot of things. I was 25 back then, so I had some life experience, and I had, I had a job at some point. I also, I tried the entrepreneurial route, so I was trying to do stuff on my own, and so yeah, it didn't work. So I had some illusions about life, and then when I saw it being kind of debunked by reality, when I see it, and look it back now, yeah, I just realized that I came here because I kind of didn't have a choice. Like I just became lost in life at some point because none of what I tried to do worked. Of course, I can go more in depth, like the reasons.
Maybe you can go in depth later. Let me ask another question based on what you said. So, do you feel like coming over here, did that change anything? That, because you said things didn't work out, so then you decided, because that was the underlying reason, so you came over here. Did that affect it? What works or what doesn't work? And what do you mean with that? What is it that then works here that didn't work before?
So I was working on a job, right? And I worked for 5 months, and then I quit because I didn't know what to do with the money, so I was just stacking the money, and I didn't enjoy it. So I knew that having a job wasn't something that I would want to for my life, because I knew it just didn't make sense. And then when I tried the entrepreneurial route, one of the things that it was basically me trying to do stuff and realizing that I wasn't as smart as I thought I was because reality was showing otherwise, and basically also me just realizing that um, I just didn't know what to do with my life, and I was very unfulfilled. So then coming here was more like at a point in my life where I just didn't know what to do next, and so because I didn't know what to do next because I nothing of what I was doing was working, because I was at a just a startup at the time, and it was not going anywhere. And well, a startup, it was more like a philanthropic startup, I would say. But anyways, so basically then when I came here, because I knew this place existed and stuff, and when I came here, I immediately realized that the because I remember even having a talk with you in the very beginning where I said the reason why this place works is because of the effort that you were putting back then in conversations with people, guidance. And then I immediately started realizing that the guidance that I could have here and what I could learn would give me the necessary skills to be successful in anything I wanted to. And so when I realized that here, it became clear that even within the framework that I was thinking, for my life, because I wanted to be successful back then, I understood that even being here, even for 1 or 2 years, it was better because it would give me the necessary skills to be successful in the world outside. Because I realized that I wasn't as smart as I thought I was, and so it was a good reality check. I realized that here very soon, also talking with you and stuff.
So basically, do you think that that actually happened? Did you learn skills here that then would help you do things in the outside world after being here for 1.5 years?
I would say, well, it was a process, but I would say definitely for sure. I feel like the thing was I didn't have so much critical thinking when I came here, and I wasn't so aware of it. But then as I went, and of course, like we had the click logic, but I wouldn't say that my growth came from so much from the click or the insights, but more when I started taking ownership over my ability to understand and trying to come up with my own insights rather than trying to be logical, or it was more like a process that I went through myself where I just tried to understand for myself, even myself better and stuff. And because I went through that process of trying to understand things, and I really came up with good, I think what I think is good insights. Yeah, like then my growth was because I saw it working. I just continued doing it, and nowadays I feel very stable, I would say, and I feel like I can, because it's really like a mindset that you have where you just think critically. It's really like that, where you don't make assumptions, you don't take things for granted, and you just think, how can I do better at anything? And so if you have like that mindset and you do it every day like we do here, you can become very very solid, very 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 independent thinker. It's really like that. You become an independent thinker here, and then you can do anything.
So basically, are you still planning to start your own projects outside and such? Like, because you said you'd be growing here for 1 or 2 years. Are you having any future plans to, I don't know, start your own place, or I don't know, like start your own business or whatever?
So of course, like then being here and understanding more and more, just getting more understanding. To me now, what I value is just I really want to do what is right. I really value that, and being honest towards myself. And so what I've come to realize is that I have to work with people. I cannot do it my own. That's for sure. Like to have the most impact. And so this group has shown that can be very impactful. I don't like right now. I don't know. I just don't know anywhere in the world where there's a group like the one there that we have here. So it's really hard for me to think that I will try and do something on my own when I see that this works so well. Of course, in the future things can change. We never know. But for now, I think it's just very unlikely that I will try to do something on my own. When especially what I do here and what the group is doing, it's going so well. Like it's just going too well.
So what are you doing right now? What is it that you do here?
So I'm writing the book, neurospinozism book. Well, it's a real talk book, and I do that, and I also manage the new people, manage the new people, I would say. So I try to make sure they have the right guidance and they have the understand what the place is about, and they take things seriously, and that's basically what I do. I just try to make sure when new people come, they know what they can do, and they have projects that are suited to their capabilities and that can help them growth faster, right? Which is something that when I came here, I didn't have so much, and I think it meant if I would come here in the beginning and I would have someone like me, right, talking to me and guiding me, I would grow much faster.
So basically, how do I have to imagine? How does that work? Like, what is the process like?
When a new person comes?
Yeah.
So the new person comes, and then there's a checklist that they have to go through, which is very, immediately has the person doing stuff. And then basically...
What is that checklist, by the way?
So the checklist is just... it has the house rules, important things for people to be aware of. It has... just things that they have to do here, like, we have laundry, so they need a plate with their name. They have the practical responsibilities to be aware, how it works, the laundry, setting, making sense. So it's like 31 checkpoints that they have to go through, and they have to finish them all. And it's basically setting up everything. First day is just basic setting up and being aware of the rules, rules, just to, clean up after yourself in the kitchen, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And basically when you give them then guidance, if they come to you like after the checklist, right?
Yeah,
like,
then we have a chat.
Yes. And then what happens?
So the first conversation, I try to see what is the mindset that the person has, or what he expects from coming here. And then I ask if they have anything that they want to do when they come here, because sometimes people have ideas, they come and they have maybe stuff that they already thought about, and then we discussed whether it's plausible to do it or not. And then if they tell me they would like to me recommending something, then I do it. I recommend what I think it's best thing they can do here, and it's usually a combination of practical stuff and also cognitive stuff, right? So we have both, and then depending on the feedback of the person, then we can have more practical stuff or more cognitive stuff. It really depends also the skills that they have. And so, but basically what we do, it's basically the person immediately has stuff to do, has a project to start working on, and then of course, along the way we tinker stuff. We see, for example, even today Nolan sent me a message, we need someone to help on the game, on a certain part of the game. And then basically what I do, I just talk with the person that I think is the most skilled, and then that person does it. And so it's basically trying to, we just work as a group to give the right...
So what if, like, let's say I come over here and I do the checklist, I go talk to you, and then I go like, okay, and go in my room, play some video games.
Well, then...
How does that work? Do you have a camera? Do you have, like what is the process if people say like, yeah, whatever, I'm coming here, I'll do this and that, but they don't care.
But they tell me that they are playing games, or...
No, they just tell you that they are working.
Well, so of course, like we are now between 30 to 35 people, so it's not like we have things very organized. So we have a team Trello. We also have a Trello for the game, for the VX, but we have a team Trello where everyone has their own tasks, and those tasks have checkpoints and due dates. So and it's the same for practical Trello. So basically, the way it works is they have their own goal, their own project, their own goals, their own due date. So they make it themselves, and then basically I check with them if they did stuff in time. So if someone comes here and he's not he's not of course it's not about doing his stuff in time, he's doing his best. But if like the feeling that I get, or not the feeling, but I see that the person is not doing his best, then I talk with the person and I ask what he thinks about it, and then if I get like usually there's a first conversation where the person is given the opportunity to be honest and change and make a decision that he wants to do what is right and take this serious. Of course, after that conversation, usually people either go home, or even before the conversation, but they usually decide that they don't want to do it. And if they stay, then they generally start taking it serious. Of course, if then if they reach a point where they don't want to be here and they think, then they just go home generally. So I don't know what was the question. I kind of.
No, I think you answered it. I wanna ask you a question though. Like, so basically, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just because the team Trello has all the goals and all the checkpoints, so I can check. Anyone can check if the person is doing stuff.
Like, let's say I'm lazy and I have a problem, right? I say like, man, I'm so lazy.
Yeah. So you just say you're lazy.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, it's not an excuse, right? Well, the
man,
thing
like,
is,
like
if
man,
you say,
I'm
if you say
really
you're lazy,
yeah.
I mean, you are not. I mean, when people come here, they understand what we are trying to do, and they understand that being lazy in this place goes against the place itself, right? I mean, everyone is here trying to do their best, even me talking with people. So if it's almost like if you tell me that you are lazy, and then you have all these people around you doing their best to help you, just also making sure you have the right conditions to grow and stuff, and then you tell you're lazy. It's almost like it's just
BM.
well, it's just disrespectful,
It's bad manners.
Yeah, it's so yeah, if you say you're lazy, you have to reconsider whether you want to stay here or not, and that's basically how it goes, I would say.
Yeah.
It's very no. I don't think it ever happened though. That people say that they're lazy. People usually use other, just other
excuses.
Yeah, other strategies to justify their laziness, I would say.
The lazy argument is only one that people use in the chat, but once they're here, it's a bit harder. So
Yeah.
Because it's the most honest one,
Saying that they're lazy.
Yeah, it's when you boil down all the excuses, most of them boil down to I'm just lazy and I just want to make an excuse, because what I'm used to is more easy for me. But yeah. But yeah, basically what you're doing for a big part, because like I used to basically do a lot what he does. I've been outsourcing that to him, which is talking to new people, give guidance and stuff, and make sure like he can much more also easily follow all to-do lists through Trello and stuff. Because on my end, when people came over back in the days, I had to do this, but I had to do 100 other things: stream, make sure the place can be paid for, and legalities and all that stuff. So being able to outsource all these tasks to make sure that we can scale up is yeah, has come a long way. And the reason why, you know, I'm talking to him right now and doing the interview, so people can see how, you know, like I don't even have so much to do anymore with new people coming over because I'm just doing other stuff. It's like when you go work for Facebook, it's not Zuckerberg that is, you know, dealing with your application or whatever. But initially, when it was just small, then it was probably Zuckerberg, to put it simple. Like, because a lot of people sometimes when they think and they think that I'm the boss here and that I am, you know, like basically running everything, and that I'm you know, like how do you say it, a cult leader. But you literally have different components and shared responsibilities, well, delegated responsibilities, where everybody, you know, is doing their own thing, and as a collective it works together. It's not like a top down pyramid where the people on the top are the ones making the rules or whatever. Like a lot of stuff he said I didn't even know.
Well, right now there's a lot of stuff that happens that you are not aware of,
Yeah.
or yeah, you know, the things that you don't need to be aware of.
But that's the thing, like the main thing that I'm busy with is just, I would say, upper management, where making sure the place just runs basically, and there is good projects to be worked on, and if there is any, you know, anything that needs to be addressed, it's just being addressed. But overall, there is not so much, you know, like yeah, like this cult vibe or whatever.
Well, I have to add, because you said you outsourced it to me, it was much more natural than that, I have to say.
Yes.
It was not like you never came to me and said, oh, you have to take care of new people. It happened naturally,
Yeah.
right? It was like, it took some months, I would say, or weeks, but yeah, it's much, because if you had come to me and said, oh, you have to, for example, some months ago, I was not ready for it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
So it's not like you can even like outsource directly. You have to. It happens naturally, kind of. Like I also started realizing that it was important, and I took initiative. So,
Yeah.
and it happens a lot, you know. A lot of the things that happen
Well,
in the place is just natural.
it's just like life, you know. It just emerges and it grows unnaturally, and there is very little, you know, external requirements for it to work. And here we're just very honest and open and flexible, and things happen naturally. Yeah, of course there is some structure that has to be there, but of course, like this action-oriented approach where people just get stuff to do, and are basically, like I even talked to him earlier about it. Like basically, people have this. You guys, one of the biggest problems for most people is this abundance of choice that is really blinding you and making you feel like, oh, what should I do? What shouldn't I do? And even, you know, you got to pay your bills, so I have to do this. So do I find a job? Or you have this intersubjectivity with family or friends or relatives or whatever, putting pressure to be a certain way or dress a certain way. And you have all this confusion. And at the same time, you feel this abundance of choice, which creates this very, you know, just cocktail of strange emotions. While in here, what you basically have is you choose for your choice to be taken away, in a sense, where you get stuff to be done that puts you into a choiceless awareness, which is what I experience. I've always talked about it in the past, how I experience choiceless awareness. People that come over here experience this choiceless awareness because they get tasks they just do, right? Of course, they're first being discussed and stuff, but then you don't have the choice to say like, do I do this or don't I do this? But it's not so much do I do this or do I do something else. It's like, do I do this or do I sit on my ass? You don't have that choice. So as a result, what you have is you stay in this state of flow, this choiceless awareness that helps you grow, and you get meaning and purpose in return. While when you just work in life, right, and you do your job, you feel in a certain sense you gotta work, but it has no meaning, no purpose. There is no, real structure given or whatever. It's all, all over the place, and you experience this sense of being nowhere and not knowing, where you're gonna go. While in here, all these things are very nicely structured. Things are being taken care of. Problems are just basically practical problems, like, oh, I gotta pay my bills, or this, are being taken away because everything is provided for. But on top of that, you also work for, for something that, for a bigger cause that helps other people and such. And what you actually have is literally what they even use in certain therapies, like for depression and even schizophrenia, putting people in a situation where they help others. This is literally what happens here. It's almost like you get guidance, you get all the support, you get this, this choiceless awareness that brings about a state of flow. And you just experience fulfillment on a fundamental level, while nobody is coming at you and imposing or judging or labeling you. It all comes naturally, and it's quite fascinating. But it starts with the choice to do your best and to not make excuses and not just settle. That's where it, like coming over and not saying like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna, slack around or whatever, or go back to my, like my temporarily spoiled life, because even there, you're gonna have to face this reality sooner or later where you have to be responsible. And that is something that here really, is done in a very structured way that gives a lot of meaning and purpose. And it's also, you also feel, part of a, like this sense of wanting to be part of a tribe or whatever, this instinctive drive that a lot of people have to be part of something that also is here, even though it's more interdependent rather than being actually dependent. It's what is is it codependency or interdependency? I don't know the word. You don't know the word? It's like basically, I think it's independency or something. But either way, like, the thing is that, when people come over here, they're really, it's really a big deal for their own inner peace and existential equilibrium, because we're not designed to just sit on our ass and do nothing. And we want to be in this state of flow and doing stuff and contributing. So yeah, let's see if people have any. Is there anything, by the way, that you still need to add?
Well, I would say a lot of stuff, but I don't know.
Well, we can just answer some questions.
Because you were explaining how when people come here and then they have some sort of guidance, and things are taken care of, so they don't have to worry so much about paying bills or anything. But like, I think there's a really good case with for example, Rasmus, and he had like an interview here where when he came here, he said, I just want you guys to tell me what I have to do, right? And so, and basically, you see him now, I think he's just, he appears much more confident. Even his interview here, you could see in him that he went through quite some growth in short time. And it's just so, because sometimes people might be at home and think, yeah, but I don't even know what to do there, or I don't know have any skills, or, but just like Rasmus, he said, yeah, I don't know what to do, but I will try, to do my best. And then he comes here and he's now working on the game, like on the analytics. And it's just like, to me, it's baffling to see how someone can come here and doesn't have a clue about, live or what he wants to do. And then here he starts figuring it out. It's really like...
I will say a little bit more about what he exactly does, because what Rasmus is doing right now is learning how to deal with Amazon service and Amazon analytics, which is a very valuable skill, because for a lot of people that aren't aware of it, Amazon is not just a company that provides, goods or whatever, but also has a lot of services that are used more and more for by companies and by game devs, like because they do a lot of like machine learning or database tracking or whatever. So having a skill set that really allows you to really know all the features that Amazon provides, which is a list of hundreds of different packages, and knowing how to combine them to create certain special services that can then tap into your game or whatever, is a very valuable skill that, funnily enough, if he decides to leave, right, that's really the kind of stuff that is so specific that you can get a job very easily. And there's a lot of people that don't understand that because they're not really in the loop of of new technologies and all these things, and just go to university and learn stuff and this stuff. Like, I wouldn't be surprised that in a few years it's maybe something that students at university learn, but then by then other things are already taking over. Like, the entire packages of studies and stuff doesn't evolve as quick as just self-learning. And that's really something, once you have the confidence and you know that you can do things, like these things come natural. And like, before he wouldn't know what to do, and now he just knows. And it's not because we tell him, but it's because he was in this state of flow, and that then really also improved him to start thinking more clearly, rather than being easily trapped inside all your problems. Because a lot of people that are watching the stream and going through life, most of your state, right, is a default mode network where you're constantly trapped inside your own thoughts and feelings and this and that. And the other one is the task positive network, where you do something, right? When you're doing something, you don't really have all these thoughts active. And what it also does is, when you're in this task positive network, you're also much more clear-minded when you can stay in there. The problem is, a lot of people, when they're used to be constantly in their default mode network and have always this chaos and this inner voice or whatever, like when they are then having to think clearly and stuff, they have a very hard time, because they are so overwhelmed with all these things that don't matter. But if you're constantly put into a state of basically clarity because of doing stuff, you're in a much better position to also reflect and figure out what you want to do. Because you guys have all, no matter what you think, how stupid you think you are, you guys have the brain capacity to really achieve great things and to think very clearly. But you don't do so because you're trapped inside like all your processing power, right, goes to really useless stuff, like really wondering and worrying and whatever. And being told that doesn't help, because it doesn't take it away. But being in a situation where you do stuff does make it fade away. So yeah, that's why this approach works so effectively, where people do stuff. Let's see if people have any questions here. By the way, where are you from?
Portugal.
Let's see if people have any questions. How many people take their own initiative to work on their own projects and so?
Well, so the way it works is, when people come here, they usually, there's projects running already. So they come here, they don't know so well what they can do. So I kind of introduce them to what they can do. And I always tell them, like, in 2 weeks, in 1 month, when people come here, they can always take initiative in whatever they want. But so as they go and as they start understanding what is necessary, what are the projects, they get a little bit more understanding and perspective on what's going on in the house. They start making their own decisions on what they want to work on. So that's how it works. So when you come here, of course, you don't know what we are working on or what is necessary, and so I just introduce you to that, and then basically as we go, you make your own decisions mostly. Of course, you can always talk to me or to anyone.
But his question was, is there anyone here working on their own projects?
Oh, that was the question?
Well, that's basically what he was asking. How many people take their own initiative to work on their own projects?
Well, I would say people that have been here for longer. Um, well, I would say that the process goes, if I have a certain idea, I usually run it either by Bashi or Reese, for example, me. But I would say since we have DubiX and since we have the game and most people are working on it, yet there's not right now there aren't like people working on certain projects that they decided to. It was more like a group decision.
Well, though, like you have people, a lot of people that just say, "Oh yeah, I will fix the, for example, the auto buy wall, for example, on DubiX." I mean, it's not really like a lot of these tasks are basically grabbed by people because they like a lot of people can't wait to work on stuff that is very uh, impactful, to put it that way, because we have a Trello with all the tasks that people can take, and sometimes things are added. Like Baking Sense, for example, was a project from a guy that came over. It was not something that we were thinking about, because I mean we didn't really need it at that point because we were using another.
Yeah, actually, that's how it works
Yeah.
mostly, right?
People
There
just
is something that it's needed, and then someone takes initiative and does it. So it's not like the person comes up with the project itself. It's more like we need this, someone, and then someone takes initiative and takes the project, basically.
So I don't know if that question is to me. Do you have ever arguments with crew members? I don't really have arguments with crew members because I actually rarely have arguments with crew members. Sometimes I have people that want to leave, that say stuff that is just completely nonsensical, but I don't even argue. I go like, okay, whatever. I don't really go against them because I know that it comes from the wrong place. It's just emotional, and they just try to rationalize around it. And I just go like, okay, whatever. Like the like in order to have an argument, you need two people, right? And the only setting where there could be an argument is if I disagree with someone else, and really, you know, like take initiative to go against it. But if people disagree with this place, right? They just leave, and I don't even argue with them because it's their choice. It's quite simple, and it's not like, oh yeah, do they have arguments with you, Athene? Because I'm not the one. I'm not the place. That's what a lot of people don't realize. Like, I am not the place. So when you have arguments or when you have justifications against this, it's not against me. It's overall just like, oh yeah, I don't like the way things are being done. Like I think there should be more focus on going outside and having fun. These are literally the things that people tell us when they leave. And there is no argument because I respect their opinion, even though it's nonsensical and it's irresponsible. I respect their own way of thinking, even though I know it's inaccurate, and I just follow the path of least resistance and let them go. But even that, these arguments aren't even given, because that was something that happened more in the past. But now, since I'm not even involved, people just come and leave. It's like, you know, Artemi, he just left, didn't even tell anyone that he was leaving, because they know it doesn't work. It's just like, oh yeah, it's too concrete. Things work too well. So in that regards, there is not really arguments. And then when you say like, oh yeah, arguments about certain decisions, right? Or certain projects or whatever, like even that, it's like like really arguing requires ego, right? This place has very little ego. And it's also like, you know, we just discuss stuff, but there is no real, yeah, there's no fights or drama or anything. Do you have sometimes arguments with people you talk?
Well, I mean, if you can, like, what is arguments? I mean, maybe with sometimes new people when they try to justify slacking, but I wouldn't even call it an argument. It's more well, when it's clear that they are not doing their best, I just address it, and then they have to make a decision, and I just tell them you have to make a decision. Um, so I don't know. It's not so much an argument. People understand. Uh, like, I mean, if people are here and they have good intent, there's really no reason to. Like, it's just very hard to have arguments because why would you? So generally, it only happens with new people if they are not so calibrated to what we are trying to do here, and they want to argue about it. But I usually don't argue even. I just tell them they have to make a decision and that's it. And I'm not going to argue about it.
Do we sometimes have arguments?
Well, yeah, I don't think we ever had arguments. Although in the past, well, so because what do you mean by argument? I mean, we never had arguments, but maybe sometimes we don't agree on stuff, I would say.
So,
But like agreeing or disagreeing also doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it's all about, it's just about action. So whatever.
so like, if you would be in my shoes, right? What would you do differently?
Like right now or just in general in the past?
Well, if you go to the past, then you can use the information now and apply it to the past. That'd be a little bit like if,
Well,
if
so I would say, for example, because I don't know what you know. So in the past, right, whenever we had conversations where you where there was something that you wanted to address about me, and you would go, well, and then, you know, it's well, because basically I'm always very open to criticism, right? And yeah, maybe I would when for example, but then again, I'm not aware of certain things. So, but I would say like just because at some point, right, when we had conversations where we would talk about just how to go about things, and then basically, yeah, basically you would be more confrontational in a way, right? And so I had a hard time understanding why would you be confrontational. But yeah, but maybe it's just because I didn't know what I was talking about, or my idea was really bad.
well, the thing is though, when it comes down to how do you say it, in the past, right? I was quite confrontational, and I did change that approach
Yeah.
of being very confrontational. And the reason why that is because I realized that, you know, being confrontational and being really what is it, imposing is not the best way of going about things. And what is way better is just keeping things, you know, like more just how they are without having to use, you know, emotional imposing strategies to make people feel guilty about themselves. So it is a different approach. It's also why I made the I was wrong video and everything, because I realized it just doesn't work so well.
Well, I would say it's more like an emotional approach or a more rational one.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I would have talks with you, and then you could be more emotional, more rational, you would go the emotional route, and so when I say arguments, it's because I wasn't understanding why you couldn't give me the facts, or you could give me the emotional part of it, and so. But yeah, I wouldn't call that an argument, but like it's the closest to an argument that maybe we had, and it was that when you had like you used the emotional route. But yeah, it doesn't matter so much. It's basically whether you decide to go more emotional or more rational.
Yeah.
And you used more emotional with me, but yeah, maybe it was the best decision. I cannot tell, but
Well, I do think that if I could go back in time, right, I would focus a lot more on the no bullshit approach that is the
Yeah.
one that we take now. But I didn't have that information back then that would work so effectively, because also the idea that people, bullshit themselves, right? Like, do you know the difference between in the past and now? In terms of my approach. In the past, when people were bullshitting themselves, I saw it as, or making excuses, I saw it as my responsibility to change them and fix them. And since just rational cognitive talk didn't work, I used more emotional talk. But what I realized now, what I realized after, not so long ago, is that you cannot really change people, and that it has to come from themselves. And as a result, I'm in a sense, like I'm putting less energy in them. It sounds really crazy,
Well,
but
yeah.
it's really what it is. I in a sense just give up on putting effort, because being more emotional or being more confrontational really required a lot of effort on my end that I don't do anymore. So now it's just like, this is how it is. You don't like it, that's fine. You go home. You like it, that's fine. You do your best. Done. It's very simple. And in the past, when people were like, yeah, I don't feel like it, or this and that, I was like, there is something in your mindset. I gotta fix it, this and that.
Yeah.
And that is where all this different approach came from. And that's also why I feel also more comfortable outsourcing these things, because when it comes down to emotional influencing or really pushing the right buttons, I've become to grow to become a master at it, and there is nobody else that does it as well as I do. But at the same time, it is not really a skill that is useful for people to do what is right, because it just makes them work within a framework of guilt or pressure or feeling, like it's more an emotional framework that keeps them even doing stuff, which was something that I used in the past because it was a compromise, and I thought there is nothing better, so I gotta do it like this. But now I know that I don't need to have that approach, because that compromise, first of all, isn't required, because it does work the other way, and at the same time I don't see the problem in myself. So from a practical point of view and an impact point of view, I don't need to compromise. But at the same time, also on an actual, am I responsible for this person, is also not there, because I know that they know better. So yeah.
Well, yeah. So this started because you asked if we had an argument, and basically the closest to an argument was, I would say that in the past.
Yeah.
Was when you had the emotional approach.
And when it comes down to now, is there anything you would do different now?
Well, no. I mean, right now things are are working really well, right? Even statistics wise. So, of course, like you also changed the approach to a much more focus on action, and there's a lot less expectations on people. I think that's really good. I think there's just a lot more room for growth when people focus on what they have to do, and when mindset is changed through action. I think that's the best approach. And that's what, and as I said, like in the first year I didn't grow so much, because I think for a big part because we were focusing on mindset. And so 6 months from, last 6 months, I focus a lot more on understanding how can I have the biggest impact, and not focus on my mindset at all. And that's when I experience the most growth, I would say. So yeah. So it's working better. It also worked better for me.
The thing is, I want to say something, by the way, about this approach, because even though that it works better, it is a lot worse in a sense. And let me tell you why. Because if you can find an insight that can change the world, that would be exponentially more impactful than one where you literally have to have a place where people grow by taking action. So doing R&D, which is research and development, in an insight or a way of making people see things differently, which then could ripple throughout society, would exponentially have a bigger impact than going about it the way we are going about now. So that's why putting a lot of effort in mindset and insights was so high on the list, because not going about it that way would mean that we have to really grind our way up. So even though things work better in this environment from a smaller perspective, when you take the perspective of the planet, finding an insight that could have done it remotely would have been exponentially more powerful. And I've given up on finding that.
I'm aware of it.
Yeah, that's I'm just saying, like, that is why I have literally for more than 20 years tried to find what it is. But I realized that taking action is what works better. But if we could write a book that, if people would read it, would suddenly turn them into people like here, that would be, obviously way better, because then people just read the book and they don't need to even be here. So, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm aware of it, of what you just explained. I don't know if to each extent it is accurate, but I think I am in a better position now to, get to that insight than you, I would say.
To what insight?
To an insight that could ripple through society. I think it's very unlikely that such thing exists. But
so again, you're what, in a better position than me?
Well, just because because it's almost like you never had the experience of going from this point to this point,
I see,
where
I see.
you just look at reality and you go like, but yeah, it's just what it is, right? And so, but of course, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I would say that when I think about it, and because I'm still trying, to come up with stuff. I'm writing the books. I have to come up with this all the time. So since I'm thinking about this quite a lot, and I understand more and more also about myself, it was something that I was thinking, maybe I'm in a better position now than Bashi. But of course, I cannot.
Might be possible.
I also don't want to get kicked out, so...
Yeah, you got to be careful what you say. It's funny, the people, they don't even listen to what you say. They just measure how things are said, and that's it. They don't even listen to the arguments you give. But I would say that in a sense it is true though. If you come from a place where you're more emotionally, driven and become more practical oriented, if you know the difference, right, then you are in a better spot to figure out what it is that would help a previous version of you to get to the point where you are now. And that is why, it's a big struggle for me, because I cannot relate to a previous version of me that would get to the point where I was now, because I've always had this mindset. And it's also something that I said to people in here. If they manage to figure out how to get, to get from their, their more potato mindset to a more active mindset, and they can really measure very accurately what the ingredients are and the components are that made the difference, they are in a better spot to figure out what it is that could help people get to the point where they are now, because they have this difference in which they have this both worlds that they can compare with. So yeah, it is the case. Although
most of the things that I understood and I sort of realized is very much close to what you've been saying.
Well, I know that. I do think that the only thing that I would say that someone that comes from old to new would lack, right, to come to these insights and find an insight that could help ripple, is the ability is the finesse and the emotional intelligence that I acquired because of trying to figure it out for so long. Because it takes a lot of time to, like, even in conversations, when it comes down to conversations or interviews or whatever, like the emotional intelligence. It's same with writing, right? Like when I write or when I speak to people, whatever, I have so much I've acquired so much insight that helps me convey certain ways in ways that other people would understand it, that, you know, even when you find it in yourself, your ability to be able to still translate it into an actual working document or whatever is also something that would require quite some time to figure it out how to write it.
Yeah, it would take
So, yeah.
quite some time and experience and trying and seeing what
But
works.
if all that aspects is there, then definitely I would say that you would be in a position where you more easily can relate and have better pattern recognition when it comes down to potatoes. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should answer some questions because, maybe people don't get so much value from the conversation. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Like, it's interesting for people to understand these. Well, I don't know who even gets this shit, but yeah. But it's quite advanced, though. Like the ability to be able to spread certain insights and stuff. Yeah. Do you try different approaches on different groups of people in the crew? Well, you can answer that question, I guess.
Well, from my experience, well, I don't know what it means, but it's very dependent from person to person. When they come here, and we try to see what is best for the person. But then it's very like the person takes initiative, you know. So it's not like there is like a specific approach. Like people come here and then after some time they start taking a lot of initiative. So it's not so much. It's not like I'm babysitting and trying to find the right approach or anything.
When people apply and come over, you're saying by working on set projects, they create a positive feedback loop of flow for themselves while also helping contribute to society. Yes. How do you generally communicate within the compound? We use Slack, and people also talk to themselves to each other when they're eating or something like. But there's not so much. I would still say there is a social vibe of honesty going on, where people don't just do small talk for the sake of it. But yet there is not so much social, like I would say that the quality of social interactions is way higher, the quantity is way lower. So yeah.
Since how long are you in the crew now? I've been here for 1 year and a half. Well, 1 year and I don't know, 7 months, 8 months.
I think you have accrued a lot of insights, which I find interesting listening to you sharing those. Well, yeah, obviously, I have a lot of experience with these things throughout. Like I've been doing this for decades. I do still think that, you know, people that come over here and go through a lot of growth, like people like Fabio, for example, at his age, you're 26, right?
27. No,
Yeah.
27.
Like you are more ahead than me in terms of the potential impact you can have than I was 27 with Reese. Because now your impact gets amplified like crazy because of this place. But that's normal. It's same with technology. Like each human has exponentially more ability to have an impact than 100 years ago because of the technology we have access to. So yeah, like this place really enhances everybody's impact like crazy, way more ripple than I could even dream of when I was 27. So yeah. What is his name?
Fabio.
His name is Fabio, guys. Do you have any friends here?
Well, It depends how you define friends, but I would consider everyone my friend here. Um, yeah, just because they share the same ideals, you know. But yeah, then if you say friends, like you probably mean, uh, well, yeah, I also have friends, I guess. but yeah, I guess there are people are friends here.
Can you take a day off in the compound if you don't feel like working one day?
Well, I guess we can take, yeah, of course we can take a day off. But yeah, I just try to do what I want to do and what is best, you know. So even if I could take and I can take a day off, I wouldn't. I just wouldn't, because there's not so much point in. Well, what would I do? So I guess I would take a day off and do the same thing I do every day. I would do that.
Do you know what people are thinking, by the way, when you answer these questions?
Well, that is rehearse it or.
No, what they think is he's afraid to say something that Athene wouldn't agree with. That's really what they think. When you are being finding the words right to express yourself, they don't think you're finding the words. They think you're pinging me to see what you should say.
Okay.
It's really crazy, and that's why they experience a certain level of anxiety that is not even there, because they project themselves in you rather than realizing that you're not very used to doing these talks.
Okay, I understand.
And they think
So-
like, oh, this guy is really afraid to be punished by Athene or something. It's crazy.
I see. That's why they put the monkey S.
Yes.
Hmm.
Just
Okay.
letting you know. So when you express doubt in the way you speak, they don't perceive it as, oh yeah, he's just trying to find the words and put these things into concepts, but rather he's pinging to Athene what he should say, because he's not being honest about what he would like to say.
Well, I would like to take a day off. And I will do the same thing I usually do, because I just don't have anything else, you know, that makes sense to do. So yeah.
But yeah, the thing is though, just
But what?
the idea of taking a day off just already makes no sense, because in a sense everybody is doing here every day what they truly, on a fundamental level are driven to do. It's almost like your passion, right? Your real true passion is to play video games, right? And then someone comes to you and says like, well, you're really playing video games all day, right? Every day, because you fucking love video games. And then someone comes and says, do you take a day off? It sounds really weird. It's like, what do you mean with a day off? It's not a drag what I'm doing. I just do what I gotta do, and I don't experience, any, like, if I'm tired, I stop playing games and I go to bed. But overall, like, it's just, what I do. And it's the same with here. Like, instead of video games, people really do things that are more responsible and productive.
But if like people thinking that they have to think that we here are working a lot and life is very unfulfilling or anything, right? Because if you think, oh, it's just very unfulfilling, they have to take a day off, because how can they, it's like a sacrifice, and it's not like it's man, it's so much better than I had before. It's crazy. It's like a gift being here.
Do you feel more fulfilled than before?
Well, I would say I feel much more fulfilled than before. And it's just because I just have an opportunity to contribute a lot,
I want to ask you a question, by the way, just because it's a runner-up to another question. Like, according to you, right? How much do I contribute to this place at this point?
Well, so if I had to give a percentage, man, like if I had to, it's between 90 and 95%, I would say, right? Or is that the question?
So you would say 5 to 10% is everybody else.
Yeah, I would say so at this point.
So how does that come? Because that sounds really, like for people that are listening, that sounds absolutely batshit insane. Because I'm only one guy and you have more than 30 people. Like, how can one guy be 95% responsible for the impact here?
Well, so I mean, you are the most intelligent person on the planet, right? So,
like you say, when you say
so
that
I
stuff,
mean,
people were just starting to like you, man, because you weren't a yes man, and now it's like, okay.
man,
Like it's really like, it's, what do you call it? It's really
like, I went off the script and I fucked up.
You went off the script and you fucked up. It's like just, ruined. It's like,
I mean, but
Bob Ross.
it comes down to how much experience you have, right? I mean, you have so much experience. You have a good understanding of people. You have a good understanding of what, for example, makes a game very successful or an exchange very successful. So then, of course, you'll have a lot of the impact that comes from, a lot of the things are just a consequence of your understanding of things. So yeah, it's just the reality. I would say I think it's 90 to 95%, and then I just have to be content with my 1% or even less than that. It's a good 1% though, considering that you are the most intelligent person.
Well, if you would ask Bill Gates, like it's really, but it is comparable. If you ask an employee or Bill Gates, what is the difference? An employee makes so much less than what Bill Gates is doing. People don't understand that, but as you grow and you gain more, like the gap between Bill Gates and an employee is smaller than the experience gap between me and people here. This sounds really, for people, absolutely bonkers to even imagine that. But it's really how it is, like because I have literally more than 20 years experience. People don't understand that.
I mean, you start thinking about these things so long ago, and I've been, trying to understand things on my own, like since, like every day, right? Because you've been doing it for every day. I mean, if you do it for every day, you grow a lot. So
I'll ask you another question here, because that basically answers his question, but I want to ask it in this combination. Do you think if I would die tomorrow, right? What was this question? Oh man, everybody was just spamming stuff. Where is this question?
do you remember the question?
Yeah, I remember it, but I want to really read. Yeah. If a teen died tomorrow, what would happen, Fabio? How would things play out in the compound? Would one person take charge? Would everything be voted on?
Okay, if you die tomorrow. So I think it's a big hit for sure. And then what I think would happen is, I think some of the people that have been here for longer would just come together and decide how, like, the best way to go forward. I think that's what will happen, and then maybe with Reese, be a more, he has the most experience, so he would, just kind of set the way forward, and then, of course, like, I guess some people would leave. Like, I think it's very unlikely that people wouldn't leave. I think the ones that have been here for longer and have a better understanding of, what life is about, and would end up staying, and then we would just try and do yeah, whatever possible. But of course, we will have a lot less impact, I would say. I mean, yeah,
I
let's just hope
I don't drop dead.
you take your pills and you.
Like I'm gonna actually answer this question is because this is a bad question. You come up with new ideas, sure, but how do you quantify ideas compared to work and building something like a game or website? I will really address this question. I will also address the other question. If I would drop dead tomorrow or even today, like because it's all about like uh, uh, it is. If I would have dropped dead last year, this place would have uh, crashed. It would have been like this place would not exist.
That's for sure.
And now, if I would drop dead now, the place would have a very big hit, right? Because I'm very big of the source of ideas and such, but also because like the it's still in a childlike form, this entire place, but we are already, or this place is already in an exponential better place than last year. And I do think in the next year, in the next couple of years, not only will this shift from 5 to 10% become more like 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50, 60, 70, my actual overall impact influence within the structure will go down, which is also what I want. I don't want to be 90 to 95% responsible for everything going on here, because it is not only more responsibility for me, but it's more weight, and that's not how things actually ripple. Because I don't look at it from an identity perspective where I want to be the best and I have ego, yeah, look at me. I don't have that. For me, it's about the superorganism, how can things ripple and stuff, first of all. Secondly, and that is why it's also a heavy focus to make sure this place is truly independent, and we've already come a long way. And I do really think in the next couple of years, dropping dead will have even a lesser impact to the place. And as time goes on and things become more and more international and all that stuff, this difference will become bigger and bigger and bigger. What I do want to say, of course, I'm extremely intelligent. So me not being part of the equation already reduces things quite a bit, but not to a point where it would end it, which is already great. But the same thing would apply, like if tomorrow Fabio would drop dead, it would also be something, like I would see certain things having to be outsourced to Reese, to me. Like it would be a something that swallows some of our time. Same with like the game, right? The game would have already been out if it wasn't for several people leaving. Several people left, which delayed the game, right? And like, of course, other people managed to take over and stuff, and the damage was not, that great. But at the end of the day, it still always, has its ripple effect. But then now hear what you say, like, how do you come up with new ideas, and how do you quantify ideas compared to work and building something like a game or website? Like, I'm going to give a very powerful answer to that question, and that is that, and it's actually a terrifying answer too. There is truly an ID, right? For all of you guys, right now, there's an ID right in front of you. You don't see it, but it's there. And if you find it, you never have to work anymore. You might say, like, that's not true. I think it is true. Like, there is an ID right now that could change, that could cure cancer. There is an ID right now that could bring about artificial intelligence, and these IDs are right out there. It's not like they're impossible to get. No, they are there. You gotta find them. And the thing is, when it comes down to figuring out IDs, right, and coming up with IDs that people can work on, you can work on a shitty ID with 1 billion people and achieve jack shit. That one guy can achieve with a better ID does more impact. And that is where I shine the most. And that is where also when you are here, like, it's one of the things I shine the most in. It's the extent to which I come up with IDs that are insanely outside the box. And people that also watch the stream and such get to introduced in it now and again. But it is mainly that aspect that increases the impact of this place like crazy, because the ideas that come out of, thinking, and me, really using my outside the box. Well, I would say I just don't have a box. There is no outside the box or inside the box. I just don't have a box thinking is extremely like just, yeah, enhances the impact of this place tremendously. And that is why he says, yeah, 5 to 10% everybody else, because without certain IDs, the impact of this place would be shit. And if I drop dead tomorrow, the game would still be a success because everything has been set in stone. The exchange would be a success. But once these projects are out, the next projects will have exponentially less success, but still success, but not as much. It's like, Steve Jobs that dropped dead. Apple still survived, but their phones are always the same. They still sell, they still make billions of dollars, but they are not as, innovative anymore. And I don't say that it's not going to happen and people are going to get to the point where it becomes better, but the good ideas, really sick ideas, is an extremely important component that keeps this place being so highly impactful. So yeah, just wanted to address that question. I don't know if do you have anything to add, Mr. Fabio?
No, I think you just set the foundation, and then that's the most important, the foundation.
Let me see here. Same question rephrased. What would happen if Reese dropped dead tomorrow? That's to me.
Well, that's for sure to you. I don't even know what Reese is doing.
Yeah, you don't even know it. Well,
No,
if Reese would drop dead tomorrow, it would be it would be quite shit, because he's the person that does a lot of the legal stuff, and that would have to be all outsourced, and I don't want to have anything to do with it. So the biggest thing that Reese brings to this place is the fact, it's going to sound really crazy, but it's the fact that I trust him. And as a result, what you have is, like I can literally trust him for billions. I know he's going to, to keep doing what he thinks is right. So if he dropped dead, like, I don't want anything on my name at all, because it puts me in a very strong position too. So I would have to, we would, as a team, have to find out who is the next best person to trust. And that is really a big gamble, because if that person bails out with $1 billion or whatever, we will, like, it would really be an insane blow. And that would be the biggest problem. So yeah.
There's a guy asking how often I go outside. I mean, right now I actually go outside 2 times a week, I would say. And it's for a run. So I run 2 times a week right now. That's when I go outside.
So yeah. I think so. You trust Reese more than anyone in the place? Yes, of course. Yes, I trust Reese more than anyone else. But it's not. I trust Reese more than anyone else. I trust Reese the most. I have a list of people I trust a lot in this place, and people that have been here longer, obviously I trust them more than people that are new. So yeah. But still, trusting someone with the billions of dollars, it is at this point, it is a gamble. Like, even you or Fedor or Ricardo, or like billions of dollars, you get to do, like, I mean,
yeah, you cannot trust me.
like, I'm just saying, I would, but the thing is, like, I wouldn't have a choice. I would have to trust someone, because I don't want it on my name, because putting it on my name literally jeopardizes everything we do, because I am the person that really gets to say whatever he wants, do whatever he wants, without, being touchable, because what am I? I have nothing, and I like that position, because it doesn't make me it doesn't force me in the shadows.
Yeah.
If I'm, like the guy that, owns everything or whatever, then I have to be, then I have to be in the back. I can't just, I can't just speak my voice because of getting sued or whatever. So, yeah. People don't ask so many questions. Huh?
Well, at some point they actually asked, and then it kind of derailed. Yeah.
It doesn't take so much to derail the conversation. A little bit of popcorn.
I don't even know what caused it.
It's just when you slightly disagree with me, they are already instantly,
They kind of take the opportunity.
Well, if people can, like, how do you ensure that your developers have the most impact? Do you use methods such as agile management? Man, Sersin, everything just happens naturally. I don't have certain specific methods. I just come up with sick ideas that work in every single case. And when I start talking about it, it is really genius, but people don't even get it. Because when I think about an idea, right, it has to be a win everywhere. So what does that mean? The idea has to grow relevance, bring in revenue, help people learn skills, help the world, have a very high chance of success. And literally, I only come up with an idea that really, has everything. Or I don't give it. I won't have 20 people work on something that doesn't have everything working for it. And if the idea is then, being put into practice, right? It also has to be achievable, of course, the idea. It has to be executable. But if all these points are there, then basically the foundation has been set and it's just surefire. It's quite easy. Yeah.
There were some things here. Did you get instantly accepted when you applied? Yes, I did. When did you find out about the thing? It was 3 years ago or something. So I found out about the thing and then applied 1 year after that, was something like that. My favorite meal is just, what we eat here, I guess. And what exactly do I do? You can just watch the VOD because I explained it in the beginning.
Fabio, you never feel frightened to tell a teen something? Like, how will he react to me saying this or that? I can see a teen can get quite confrontational and aggressive at times with people in the chat. Does he act that way to people in the compound?
So I would say I felt that way in the past for sure. Because as I said, he would act more like he would try to just be more emotional and just be more confrontational. But nowadays, I don't experience it. I actually don't experience it. I just say whatever. Yeah, I say what I think I need to say, and that's it. Does he act that way to people in the comment? Oh, so
the way so,
no. I mean that
way I act in the chat.
That changed a lot.
But the thing is, though, like the way I am here in the compound or the way I am on the stream even is very different.
Yeah, so there's also a difference, I would say. Well, I think that was more in the past, the way so basically the way you interacted with me or with other people, right? Or even here in the stream, because here in the stream you are much more confrontational and I guess aggressive, because at least with me, when you interact with me, it's just very chill, just chill conversations.
Yeah, I've become really extremely chill.
Yeah.
It's much easier the way I go about things now than before. Before I was really carrying people's lack of responsibility. I thought it was my responsibility that they didn't have their responsibility, but now I don't have it anymore. It's really, I like it a lot. Do you write down ideas that you think won't work out? For example, your theory of everything in physics. The thing is, I write down nothing. And you might say, like, how do you mean? Because I already explained it in the past, but the way I work is with logical checkpoints, and my information is very compressed because it's all derived mathematically. So basically, the insights I have do not come from me storing the actual information, but me knowing how to get there. So I can basically speak about every single topic fluently without having to even know what it is, because it is not the information that I'm just, repeating, but rather I am, as I'm speaking, just generating the content. It's almost like when you play a game, right? Like World of Warcraft. You can play a game like World of Warcraft where all the game visuals are stored on your hard drive, and it's like, what is it, 50 gig or whatever the fuck, or 100 gig. But if you have a game that just constantly simulates the levels and simulates the visuals based on on an algorithm, then suddenly you just need more processing power, but you need a lot less database, and writing things down is basically just an external hard drive. But since I compute everything with processing power, I don't need a hard drive, because I just logically make the connections and just know, yeah, that's what I must have said, because else it wouldn't have made sense. And what it also allows me is to really remember every single conversation I have, because conversations I have, I don't really store what they say in the way they said it, but what they say, not how they said it, but what they said on a very fundamental level, which allows me to have an insane, like, at least for an outsider, I come across like I have an insane memory, even though my memory is nothing special. It's just the way I store data is very different, because I go about it in a way where I think about things logically and just construct them. And that's why I could do the entire Real Talk, everything from start to finish in one go without having to even think about stuff, because it's all already basically compiled, and I know how it works. And sometimes people are impressed with me just being able to talk 4 hours, 5 hours straight, saying everything so structured, but it's not because I memorize that stuff, it's because it's all just generated. Either way, developing an excellent solution with multiple people usually becomes a shitfest fast if it's not properly managed. Do you guys use tools such as Git for your software development? How are tasks divided? Yes, we have Git. What we also have is we use very powerful technology, which is, what is it called? What is it that everybody uses in coding? They use a certain framework.
Entitas?
Entitas, yes. Man, Entitas is a godsend. Like, we just use Entitas and Git, and basically Trello has all cards. At the start, we needed more management. Now we almost need no management at all, because everybody's just fixing all the cards. Everything is being developed. So yeah, the place works really smooth. It's actually quite crazy. I mean, as from a company perspective, right? If they would come over here and basically, but we will make a docu. We will make a documentary about how the game was made and everything. So you will be able to see the workflow and everything. Yeah.
Well, this is what a company wants, right? This is like, I mean, if a company comes here and they go like, but wait a minute, I have employees working 9 to 5. They only work 5 days a week, and I still have to pay them. And these guys are just, working every day, and it's a steal. You go back and you go like, no, this doesn't make sense.
But the problem is that, we don't work with money. We work with, with purpose and goals. We literally our faith, not in money, but in changing the world, is what drives us. People's God is money. Our God is facts and science. And that's why we're a religion. We are completely legitimate organization, a religion, and we are just expressing our religious freedom. Your religion is money. Our religion is facts and reality. And if someone comes and an employee wants to understand how this shit work, I would say like, you gotta change your God, because money ain't God. Reality and facts, that is the real God. And it requires a paradigm shift, but then he starts questioning why he even came over to figure out how to make more profit to begin with, because he starts realizing that's not what it's about. So even the insights and seeing what we do is not that helpful for someone that chases profit. So yeah, it's kind of, they think it's a steal, but at the same time, just thinking that it's a steal is because they're looking at it from a framework of money while we're doing it from a different framework. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think, was there a specific turning point where you say you decide to pursue what you're most passionate about now? Can you elaborate? No, I don't care about what I'm passionate about. I just do what I gotta do. It's like a mother having a child. It doesn't need to be passionate about the kids to take care of it. I just do what I gotta do. Passion is not even part of the equation. I don't really care so much about my emotions and even my beliefs. I care about reality, and I adjust my thoughts and emotions based on it. And by doing so, I grow and have more and more impact. Let me see here. What can I apply for? Everybody can apply to come over to this place. Rewatch the real talk. You get quite a good, Adamax says hard drive or processing power low, you're not a robot. In a sense, we're all biological machines, Will you be clapping in the docu, Fabio?
Well, I already did, right?
Yeah.
Oh, in the new one?
Yeah, in the new one.
Maybe. Well, if, I don't want to, remove a thing from the spotlight, so better not.
Wait, they're not being paid?
Well, we actually are, right? We have purpose.
You have purpose.
So, I mean, we do the right thing as long as purpose goes up.
You're giving a sarcastic answer, and they think it's actually... they don't understand sarcasm, just so you know. They don't understand. They think this is really serious. The thing is, the question is not do you get paid or not. The question is how much do you have to pay me to get free food and shelter, and on top of that, get to learn how to become a coder or whatever, because most of you guys, right, don't even have the ability to, do work on code projects or whatever. But these things you learn here and you get the right guidance. So it's not about how much do you get paid, it's how much do you pay me. And I'm a really nice guy. Do you guys realize that we haven't made one, like all the money that keeps this place alive, right, came from me, from donations? Do you guys realize that or not? People don't realize that. The poker money, right, paid for everything here that I played for a year. But hey, still, they haven't given me a return yet.
I guess you have to wait.
I have to wait a little bit longer. But then Reese is the one taking the money, though.
You trust him, right?
Yeah, so maybe he's the one, he's doing the heist.
But, like, they're not being paid. I mean, even if I get paid, I would put the money in the projects. So yeah, it doesn't make sense.
You deserve an
why would I want the money? I would just put the money and try to invest in the projects.
You deserve an extra note for that answer.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, I'll up your ratio. What do you think when the last spots are full? Will you accept some people? I don't know. It might affect even my streaming times. I might start streaming less. Athene, why is it logical to contribute to the superorganism if humanity will go extinct eventually anyway? Why is it logical for I've answered this question so many times, and I think you're also an intellectual masturbator, because I've seen you ask these similar questions over and over again, and I always answer them, and you keep repeating the same question. I think you already asked this question in the past, with a similar username, or maybe the same one. Let me actually have a look. But basically, humanity, identifying with humanity is as stupid as identifying with you being an individual. Humanity is merely a concept, it's a construct. We are what we are, and we ever grow and evolve. We're just a life, and everything is connected. So thinking, humanity will go extinct eventually, therefore, whatever comes out of that, whether it's advanced artificial intelligence or us transcending into some different organism, does not, contradict suddenly, now we have to go against what we are. I mean, we just do what we're designed to do, and that's it, whether you like it or not. I mean, the reason why you eat, it's really like, Athene, why is it logical to eat when humanity will go extinct anyway? Like, that makes absolutely no sense. If you don't eat, you die, and that's it. So when you say these things, it just doesn't add up, because you're looking at it from a flawed, identified, small perspective. Also, I don't really like to go that route, because it's less concrete, less practical. Watch the podcasts, right? I answer these questions so accurately, and I've really said it over and over again. My experience when I address these questions, it's a road without end. People just keep whining and babbling and babbling and babbling, and I don't have time for that. You can just listen to the real talk for these answers, but I still addressed it very simple. How do you save for retirement and such if you're putting in years without pay to invest in you and your family's future? Let me quickly answer your question there. Your retirement, right, is provided by the government, right? But the thing is, like, you assume that when you work, you're gonna have a retirement. Do you know that countries like Belgium already, for example, already are increasing the time when you even have allowance for retirement, and things are becoming more privatized more and more. So what you take for granted, even a private insurance, is something that you trust more than giving yourself the ability to learn and grow and gain skills that take you out of this machinery of fear. And that will give you more insurance than anything you can save up. And that's the reason why me, even though I have no money, I have no bank, I have nothing, I still feel like working every day for a better world, because I know that that is, the best insurance, not just for myself, but for the planet. And there you go.
Well, and it's the same for me, because I also had this before coming over. I had this in my mind, saving for retirement. Like, it's like, especially I cannot be there for more than 2 years or something, because I have to, safeguard my future. And then when I came here and I realized, but wait a minute, like, what can safeguard my future is my ability to be resourceful in anything, right? And so I think that's something that when people make these questions, you don't understand that in 10 years, 20 years, like, there's a lot of people right today that will be out of job just because their job will be automated. And the only thing that will save you then is your ability to adapt. It's really like that, is whether you have the skills, the necessary skills to adapt. And if you don't have them, you will just suffer.
Well, you will get universal basic income, hopefully by then, that we provide.
But the best retirement, or the best save for retirement that you can have, is your own skills. That's for sure. Because things will change a lot as we go.
This was one of the best Q&As. I want to join more than ever now. Thank you, Fabio. Well, feel free to apply if that's really the case, because spots are running out. I'm telling you. Athene, what if I want to support my mother financially but want to come over? I don't know, man. Like, I would still not, I would still choose to change the world, and see to which extent your family can be provided for within their own context, because just like your mother, and this is going to sound really crazy, but that's really how I look at things, all these people you help also have a mother and have children, and everybody's equal. And I know this is something that people go like, but Athene, but that's what truly is honest, is to be unbiased and really make decisions that help everyone and think as everyone being your family rather than just going like, oh yeah, I gotta take care of my mother, because these other mothers are even in a worse spot than your mother, way worse, and you can help them too. And it is not binary. You either help them or you don't help your mother. You can still, grow and learn abilities that allow you to literally make your mother completely financially independent. I mean, people that come over here learn skills that can take them out of this 9 to 5 job routine, because they become visionaries, because that's really what people learn here. And that allows you to take care of your family a million times fold than just, being trapped inside your small little bubble. So, yeah. He keeps looking at a thing waiting for approval. He really...
Well,
he really...
he knows it. He knows it.
He
Like,
knows it.
he
He's a very smart guy.
yeah, he figured it out.
Okay. I think I'm gonna... Well, Reese will come out naturally, I think. But yeah, I guess that was a nice little interview, quite a bit. I wonder if people will apply. Who's gonna apply after this little interview with Fabio? You know what's funny? These talks, right? They help, they make people apply, but once the game comes out and we really have success, they will all apply and it will be filled. And they will regret. It's so funny. Even though now they know it's better, they still don't really grasp it. Why did you choose Germany as location? Because it's central in Europe and because we could get this place very cheap. Is a passport necessary? Yes. Yes, you need to be able to stay here.
Well, like, there is... Some people might be wondering if they should join or not, and be in a kind of similar position that I was before, which was I wanted to an extent to get to be successful in what I was doing back then. And of course, this is for the people that are more action oriented, and what people don't realize, and I think some people might not realize, is how coming here, even from that angle, they don't realize that being here is what will allow them to be the most successful, if it's success that they want, or to be the most, because people, to certain extent, everyone wants to raise their status. And that's kind of what I wanted even before. And if you think about it, and that's why people will apply once, like, en masse, once the game is out, because they start realizing it's almost like applying for Google, right? It just becomes, you want to be part of it because it just raises your status. It just makes you more, more, well, it just increases your
Value.
Yeah, your value, basically.
Reese is here now.
Okay, let's